the score for Quatermass is like a precursor to Psycho.
James Bernard is certainly a hero because the music is often phenomenal.
His music is like as important as the direction, the setting, the actors.
James Bernard did actually have some musical lineage in his family, and one of those was Thomas Anne, who was the composer of Rule Britannia.
James Bernard was born in the Himalayas. He then went to the Wellington College in England.
Eventually, he would actually end up at Bletchley Park, and he was part of the team that were helping to try and crack the code of the Enigma machine.
He worked with Christopher Lee, who was actually stationed at the same place as James.
And this is where he first ever encountered Dracula.
I'd just become an officer, and I was billeted in an old rectory adjoining an old church in a remote village in Buckinghamshire. It was a full hammer set, the whole thing, and it was terribly cold winter. And I was reading Dracula, Bram Stoker's original, for the first time. And I tucked myself up into bed with Dracula, with the book, I mean. And I was really enjoying it enormously and totally engrossed. I suddenly realized I was freezing cold. So I got out of bed and went to the kitchen of this old rectory and made myself a hot water bottle. And I filled this with almost boiling water, took it back to bed, clutched it to my chest, went on reading Dracula, thoroughly absorbed, fell asleep with the book on my nose, woke up in the morning, and the bottle was clutched to my chest. So I removed it, and underneath it was a huge, angry white blister. And the blister went, but the scar remained for years and years and years, and I think it only finally vanished when I'd written the score for The Scars of Dracula, which was my last Dracula film.
There is no escape from the scars of Dracula.
James first started working in music for Benjamin Britten. He would copy the sketches for Billy Budd, the opera. But after that, Benjamin Britten told him that he should make his own way, because if he stayed with him, he would just swamp him and he would not be able to make his own way as a composer.
James was very keen to work in film. He had to find a way in. Television hadn't really started up again properly since the war. His way in was radio plays. Now, he did a bunch of those for what is effectively now BBC Radio 3.
I think it was The Death of Hector was the first, which was directed by Sir John Gielgud's brother.
One of the next ones he did was called The Duchess of Malfi. It's basically a horror. Everybody pretty much ends up dead by the end. And The Duchess of Malfi was actually recorded to tape.
The Quatermass Experiment was originally assigned to John Hotchkiss. And unfortunately, John fell ill and couldn't continue.
Tony Hines at Hammer said to a man called John Hollingsworth, "We're in a real pickle here and we need a composer as soon as possible."
So John Hollingsworth remembered James Bernard, who had conducted the score for The Duchess of Malfi.
Now, because they had the tapes to The Duchess of Malfi, he rushed to go retrieve these and play them to Tony Hines. Tony Hines loved it, and immediately on the spot, James Bernard was hired and paid the princely sum of £100 to write the score for the Quatermass Experiment. If you listen to The Duchess of Malfi and you listen to the Quatermass Experiment, you're going to see a lot of similarities, because James Bernard was basically touching upon what he already knew how to do. And that was writing for strings and percussion. So they basically have almost the same instrumentation. When he then went on to do The Curse of Frankenstein, he would actually quote musically some of his themes and motifs from The Duchess of Malfi.